Why being alone is so powerful lies in the opportunity it provides for self-discovery and personal growth. Solitude is often viewed as a state of discomfort, but in reality, it is a powerful space for reflection, clarity, and inner peace. In the quiet, we are free from the distractions of the outside world and able to reconnect with ourselves. It is through moments of stillness that we uncover our true thoughts, desires, and values. Being alone allows us to break free from societal expectations, rediscover our passions, and embrace our authentic selves. The power of solitude lies not in isolation, but in the freedom it offers to explore who we are without external influence. In these moments, we become the architects of our own lives, shaping our futures with intention and purpose. Solitude is often misunderstood as a condition to be avoided, a state of discomfort that many seek to escape. It is easy to see why this perception exists. Human beings are inherently social creatures, wired to seek connection and thrive in the company of others. Society has reinforced this inclination by placing immense value on external validation, group dynamics, and constant interaction. This makes the prospect of being alone seem not only undesirable, but even unnatural. However, solitude, especially in its initial stages, is not without its challenges. It can feel like venturing into uncharted territory, an unsettling experience of confronting silence and stillness. These moments of discomfort are the first steps in breaking free from the societal norms that often bind us to perpetual noise and distraction. When you first step into solitude, you may find yourself grappling with an overwhelming sense of unease. The absence of others to occupy your attention can leave a void that feels foreign, even threatening. In a world that glorifies busyness and multitasking, silence can be deafening. Yet this silence is precisely where the most profound growth begins. The discomfort arises not from the solitude itself, but from the unfamiliarity of sitting with your own thoughts. It is a confrontation with yourself, stripped of distractions and external affirmations. This experience often uncovers feelings and thoughts that were previously buried beneath the constant hum of daily life. For many, this can be an unsettling revelation, as it forces them to face parts of themselves they may have been avoiding. Society has conditioned us to believe that our worth is tied to how others perceive us. From a young age, we are encouraged to excel in group settings, to prioritize social bonds, and to seek validation through external measures. This conditioning makes solitude appear counterintuitive. It challenges deeply ingrained beliefs about success, happiness, and belonging. To sit alone, detached from the roles we play in the lives of others, can feel like stepping away from the very fabric of our identity. It is no wonder that many experience solitude as a discomforting void rather than an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Yet it is precisely this discomfort that holds the key to transformation. It forces us to question the narratives we have been told about who we are and what we need to thrive. The initial discomfort of solitude is not a sign of failure, but an indication that you are stepping into a space of potential. It is in these moments of unease that the mind begins to recalibrate. The layers of societal expectations start to peel away, revealing the raw, unfiltered essence of your thoughts and emotions. This process, though challenging, is also liberating. The stillness allows you to notice patterns in your behavior, reactions, and beliefs that might have gone unnoticed in the chaos of daily life. It is here, in the quiet discomfort of solitude, that the seeds of self-awareness are planted. Over time, the unease that accompanies solitude begins to transform. What once felt like an oppressive silence becomes a sanctuary of clarity and peace. This transition is not immediate. It requires patience, perseverance, and a willingness to sit with the discomfort. As you continue to embrace solitude, you start to recognize its value. The very things that once made solitude challenging, its stillness, its lack of distraction, its introspection, become the tools through which you begin to understand yourself more deeply. You learn to distinguish between the thoughts that are truly your own and those that have been shaped by external influences. This newfound clarity is not just liberating, it is empowering. Breaking free from societal norms of constant interaction is not about rejecting the importance of relationships or the value of community. Instead, it is about redefining your relationship with yourself. Solitude teaches you that you do not need to rely on others to feel complete. It shows you that your worth is not determined by your social connections or how you are perceived by the world. This realization is both radical and transformative. It allows you to approach relationships from a place of authenticity rather than dependence. You become less concerned with seeking validation from others and more focused on cultivating a sense of self-worth that comes from within. The process of embracing solitude also challenges the idea that discomfort is inherently negative. In modern society, discomfort is often seen as something to be avoided at all costs. Yet it is through discomfort that growth occurs. Solitude teaches you to sit with your unease, to explore its origins, and to learn from it. This willingness to engage with discomfort rather than flee from it is a skill that extends far beyond the realm of solitude. It equips you with the resilience to face life's challenges with grace and confidence. You begin to see discomfort not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity, a gateway to deeper understanding and personal growth. As you navigate the initial stages of solitude, you may also discover a newfound appreciation for the present moment. Without the distractions of constant interaction, you become more attuned to your surroundings and your inner world. This heightened awareness fosters a sense of gratitude for the simple pleasures in life, from the rustling of leaves in the wind to the quiet rhythm of your own breath. These moments of presence are profound in their simplicity. They remind you that life's richness is not found in grand achievements or external accolades, but in the quiet beauty of being fully present with yourself. Self-discovery is a journey that often begins in solitude, a state where we are free from the noise and distractions of the outside world. Solitude is not merely a retreat from others, but a sacred space where we can peel back the layers of conditioning that have shaped our perceptions of who we are. From the moment we are born, we are influenced by societal norms, family expectations, and cultural values that subtly mold our identities. These external forces create a framework within which we operate, often unconsciously. Solitude provides the opportunity to step outside this framework, to question its validity, and to explore what lies beneath. In solitude, the absence of external validation or criticism creates an environment where we can truly listen to our inner voice. This voice, often drowned out by the demands of daily life, begins to emerge with clarity when we are alone. It speaks of our deepest desires, our hidden fears, and our authentic motivations. Initially, this process can feel unsettling. The realization that much of what we think we want is shaped by others' expectations can be both liberating and overwhelming. But as we continue to sit with these thoughts, a clearer picture of our true self begins to emerge. We start to distinguish between the roles we play for others and the essence of who we are at our core. Peeling back the layers of conditioning requires courage and honesty. It involves acknowledging the ways in which we have conformed to fit in or gain approval. This conformity, while often necessary for survival in social systems, can obscure our authentic selves. Solitude offers the space to examine these layers without judgment. As we delve deeper, we uncover the beliefs and values that are truly our own. This process is not about rejecting everything we have learned, but about discerning what aligns with our genuine self. It is a reclamation of our identity, a return to the essence of who we are. The journey of self-discovery is not linear. It is filled with moments of clarity and times of doubt. Solitude provides the continuity needed to navigate these fluctuations. In the stillness, we can revisit thoughts and emotions that surface, examining them from different angles, patterns begin to emerge. Patterns in our reactions, our choices, and our aspirations. These patterns hold valuable insights into our true nature. For instance, we may notice recurring themes in our desires, such as a longing for creativity or a need for connection. These observations guide us toward a deeper understanding of what brings us joy and fulfillment. Solitude also allows us to confront our fears without the influence of external judgment. Many of us carry fears that are rooted in past experiences or societal pressures. The fear of failure, rejection, or inadequacy can shape our decisions and limit our potential. In solitude, these fears surface not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for growth. By sitting with our fears, we begin to understand their origins and the ways in which they have shaped our behavior. This understanding is the first step toward overcoming them. Solitude teaches us that our fears, while powerful, do not define us. They are merely parts of our story, and we have the power to rewrite them. Another profound aspect of self-discovery through solitude is the recognition of our unique strengths and talents. In a world that often emphasizes comparison, it is easy to lose sight of what makes us special. Solitude shifts the focus inward, allowing us to explore our abilities and passions without the pressure of measuring up to others. This exploration is not about achieving perfection, but about embracing our individuality. As we uncover our strengths, we gain confidence in our ability to navigate life's challenges. This confidence is not based on external achievements, but on an internal understanding of who we are and what we are capable of. As we peel back the layers of conditioning, we also begin to question the goals and aspirations we have pursued. Are these goals truly ours, or are they reflections of societal expectations? Solitude provides the clarity needed to answer these questions honestly. It encourages us to let go of the goals that no longer serve us and to embrace the ones that resonate with our authentic self. This process is not about abandoning ambition, but about aligning our ambitions with our true desires. It is about creating a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling, rather than one that merely meets external standards. Self-discovery through solitude also involves reconnecting with our intuition. Intuition is often described as a gut feeling or an inner knowing, a sense of what feels right or wrong without the need for logical reasoning. In the noise of everyday life, this intuitive voice is often overshadowed by external opinions and societal norms. Solitude quiets the noise, allowing us to hear and trust our intuition. This trust is a cornerstone of self-discovery, as it guides us toward decisions and actions that are aligned with our authentic self. Intuition becomes a compass, pointing us toward our true north. In solitude, we also come to terms with our vulnerabilities. These vulnerabilities, often hidden behind layers of conditioning, are integral to our humanity. Acknowledging and embracing them is an essential part of self-discovery. Vulnerabilities are not weaknesses to be overcome, but aspects of ourselves that make us whole. Solitude creates a safe space where we can confront our vulnerabilities without fear of judgment. This confrontation is not easy, but it is profoundly healing. It allows us to accept ourselves fully, to integrate the parts of ourselves we have tried to hide or suppress. This acceptance is the foundation of self-love, a love that is unconditional and enduring. Emotional resilience is one of the most transformative gifts that solitude offers. It is in moments of stillness, away from the distractions and influences of the external world, that we begin to confront the emotions we often suppress. Solitude creates a safe space for us to face our fears, process our feelings, and build the inner strength needed to navigate life's challenges. This resilience is not merely about withstanding adversity, but about growing stronger through it, emerging with a deeper understanding of ourselves and a renewed capacity to face the uncertainties of life. When we first embrace solitude, The quiet can feel overwhelming. Without the constant buzz of activity and interaction, we are left alone with our thoughts and emotions. For many, this can be unsettling, as it forces us to confront fears and insecurities that we might have been avoiding. These fears are often rooted in past experiences or societal expectations, fears of failure, rejection, or inadequacy. Solitude does not eliminate these fears, but brings them into the light, allowing us to examine them closely. In doing so, we begin to understand their origins and how they have influenced our choices and behaviors. This understanding is the first step toward emotional resilience, as it transforms our fears from insurmountable obstacles into opportunities for growth. Processing emotions is another essential aspect of building emotional resilience through solitude. In the chaos of everyday life, it can be difficult to fully acknowledge and experience our feelings. We may suppress sadness, ignore anger, or avoid discomfort because there is no time or space to deal with them. Solitude changes this dynamic by providing the stillness needed to sit with our emotions. It allows us to feel deeply without judgment or distraction, to explore the layers of our emotional experiences and to find meaning within them. This process is not always easy. It requires patience and a willingness to be vulnerable with ourselves. However, it is through this vulnerability that we cultivate emotional strength. By facing our emotions head on, we learn to navigate them with grace and confidence, rather than being controlled by them. Solitude also teaches us to regulate our emotions, an essential skill for emotional resilience. When we are constantly surrounded by others, it is easy to react impulsively to situations without fully understanding our emotional responses. In solitude, we have the time and space to reflect on our feelings and to respond to them in a thoughtful and intentional way. This reflection helps us recognize patterns in our emotional reactions, enabling us to address the underlying causes rather than merely dealing with the symptoms. Emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings, but about managing them in a way that promotes well-being and balance. Solitude allows us to develop this skill by creating an environment where we can practice self-awareness and self-control. As we process our emotions and confront our fears, we begin to develop a sense of inner strength that is unshakable. This inner strength is not dependent on external validation or circumstances, but comes from a deep well of self-trust and self-awareness. Solitude helps us build this strength by teaching us that we are capable of handling life's challenges on our own. It shows us that we have the resources within us to face adversity, to adapt to change, and to persevere in the face of difficulty. This realization is empowering as it shifts our focus from seeking strength outside of ourselves to cultivating it from within. Another aspect of emotional resilience that solitude fosters is the ability to embrace uncertainty. Life is unpredictable, and many of our fears stem from the unknown. In solitude, we learn to sit with uncertainty without being overwhelmed by it. We come to understand that uncertainty is a natural part of life, not something to be feared, but something to be navigated with curiosity and openness. This mindset allows us to approach challenges with a sense of possibility rather than dread, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. Solitude also helps us develop a more compassionate relationship with ourselves, which is a cornerstone of emotional resilience. Often we are our harshest critics, holding ourselves to impossible standards and berating ourselves for our perceived shortcomings. In solitude, we have the opportunity to step back from these judgments and to see ourselves with greater clarity and kindness. This self-compassion is not about ignoring our flaws, but about accepting them as part of our humanity. It is about recognizing that we are doing the best we can with the resources we have, and that mistakes and setbacks are a natural part of the learning process. By cultivating self-compassion, we create a foundation of emotional resilience that allows us to recover from setbacks with greater ease and to approach life's challenges with a sense of self-worth. One of the most profound lessons of solitude is that emotional resilience is not about eliminating pain or difficulty, but about learning to coexist with it. Life is filled with ups and downs, moments of joy and sorrow, success and failure. Solitude teaches us to embrace the full spectrum of human experience, to find strength in our struggles and grace in our growth. It shows us that our emotions, no matter how intense, are temporary and that we have the capacity to move through them and emerge stronger on the other side. Self-trust and awareness are profound gifts cultivated through the quiet and deliberate act of spending time alone. In solitude, we remove ourselves from the external noise and influences that often cloud our judgment and obscure our sense of self. This withdrawal from the external world is not an escape, but an opportunity to build a solid foundation of self-reliance and clarity. In a society that often places immense value on validation from others, solitude provides the radical freedom to discover and trust in our own thoughts, feelings, and decisions. It is in this sacred space that we learn to listen to ourselves, to believe in our capabilities, and to honor the truths that reside within us. When we first embrace solitude, the absence of external voices can feel disorienting. We are so accustomed to seeking feedback, approval, and affirmation from others that silence can initially seem unnerving. However, as we sit with ourselves in this silence, we begin to hear a different voice, the inner voice that has always been there but is often drowned out by the opinions and expectations of others. This voice is uniquely ours. It speaks of our desires, our values, and our deepest truths. Listening to it requires patience and intention. But as we do, we begin to develop an unshakable trust in ourselves. Self-trust is not something that happens overnight. It is a process that unfolds gradually as we allow ourselves to make decisions without constantly seeking reassurance from others. Solitude encourages us to take responsibility for our choices and to embrace the outcomes, whether they lead to success or failure. Through this process, we learn that mistakes are not failures, but valuable lessons. Each decision we make in solitude, free from external influence, strengthens our confidence in our ability to navigate life's challenges. This self-assuredness is not about arrogance, but about a quiet certainty in our own judgment and intuition. As we deepen our relationship with ourselves, we begin to notice the clarity that solitude brings. In the stillness, we can untangle the web of thoughts and emotions that often cloud our minds. We start to discern between what truly matters to us and what we have been conditioned to believe is important. This clarity is empowering, as it allows us to align our actions with our authentic desires and values. Without the distractions of the external world, we can focus on what truly fulfills us, rather than what is expected of us by others. Independence from external validation is one of the most liberating aspects of self-trust. In solitude, we come to understand that our worth is not determined by the opinions or approval of others. We realize that seeking constant validation can be exhausting and unsustainable, as it places our sense of self-worth in the hands of others. Solitude teaches us that we are enough just as we are, just as this realization frees us from the need to perform, to conform, or to meet unrealistic expectations. It allows us to live authentically, guided by our own inner compass rather than the shifting standards of society. Building self-awareness is another essential component of this journey. In solitude, we have the time and space to reflect on our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. We begin to recognize patterns in our thinking and reactions, gaining insight into what drives us and what holds us back. This awareness is not about self-criticism, but about understanding ourselves with compassion and curiosity. It is about peeling back the layers of conditioning to uncover the core of who we are. As we become more aware of ourselves, we also become more intentional in our choices. We are no longer driven by unconscious habits or external pressures, but by a deep understanding of what aligns with our true self. Solitude also allows us to confront the fears and insecurities that can erode self-trust. When we spend time alone, we create a safe space to examine these fears without judgment. We begin to understand their origins and to see them for what they are. Parts of our story, but not the whole of who we are. This process of confronting and understanding our fears builds resilience and strengthens our belief in our ability to overcome challenges. It teaches us that we are capable of facing life's uncertainties with courage and confidence. As we cultivate self-trust and awareness, we also develop a greater sense of self-respect. We learn to honor our boundaries, to prioritize our needs, and to advocate for ourselves. This self-respect is not about selfishness, but about recognizing our inherent worth and treating ourselves with the same kindness and consideration we would offer to a loved one. It is about standing firm in our values and refusing to compromise our integrity for the sake of pleasing others. This self-respect becomes the foundation upon which we build healthy and authentic relationships with others. Reconnecting with passions is one of the most rewarding aspects of solitude. In the quiet moments spent alone, we are given the space to explore what truly brings us joy and fulfillment. Life often becomes a whirlwind of responsibilities, deadlines, and external expectations, leaving little time for reflection or personal pursuits. Solitude, however, provides an opportunity to pause, step away from the noise, and rediscover the activities and values that give life meaning. It is a return to the essence of who we are, unburdened by the demands of the outside world. When we are constantly surrounded by others or caught up in the routines of daily life, it is easy to lose sight of our passions. These passions, the things that ignite our curiosity and bring a sense of purpose, can become buried beneath layers of obligation and distraction. Solitude allows us to unearth these hidden treasures. It encourages us to ask questions that often go unspoken in the rush of life. What truly excites me? What activities make me lose track of time? What values do I hold most dear? These questions serve as guideposts, leading us back to the parts of ourselves that may have been neglected or forgotten. As we spend time in solitude, we begin to notice the subtle stirrings of inspiration. Without the constant input of others' opinions and expectations, we are free to explore our interests without judgment or comparison. Perhaps it is the memory of a hobby we loved as a child, a creative pursuit that once brought us joy but was set aside, or a new interest that has been quietly calling to us. In the stillness of solitude, we can explore these interests with curiosity and openness. There is no pressure to perform or to achieve. The only goal is to reconnect with what feels authentic and fulfilling. Rediscovering our passions often leads to a deeper understanding of our values. Passions are not just activities we enjoy. They are expressions of what matters most to us. For example, a love of painting may reflect a value for creativity and self-expression, while a passion for hiking may highlight an appreciation for nature and adventure. Solitude allows us to reflect on these connections, to see how our passions align with our values, and to integrate them into our lives in meaningful ways. This alignment creates a sense of harmony as we begin to live in a way that feels true to ourselves. The process of reconnecting with passions through solitude is not always immediate. It requires patience and a willingness to experiment. We may try activities that don't resonate or revisit old pursuits that no longer hold the same appeal. This trial and error is a natural part of the journey. Solitude gives us the freedom to explore without fear of judgment or failure. It reminds us that the act of exploration is itself valuable, even if it does not lead to immediate clarity. Each step taken in solitude brings us closer to understanding what truly brings us joy and meaning. Reconnecting with passions also has a ripple effect on other areas of our lives. As we engage in activities that light us up, we experience a renewed sense of energy and enthusiasm. This energy spills over into our relationships, work, and daily routines, infusing them with a sense of vitality. Passion is contagious. When we are connected to what we love, we inspire those around us to do the same. Solitude, therefore, not only benefits us personally, but also enriches our connections with others. Reconnecting with our passions is not just about finding activities to fill our time. It is about rediscovering the parts of ourselves that bring depth and richness to our lives. Through solitude, we come to understand that our passions are not only a source of joy, but also a compass, guiding us toward a life of authenticity and purpose. Acceptance and fulfillment are profound states of being that are cultivated through the quiet and introspective practice of solitude. In the stillness of being alone, we come to understand a fundamental truth. Our worth is intrinsic and does not depend on the approval or validation of others. This realization is transformative as it shifts our focus from seeking external recognition to embracing an inner sense of value. Solitude creates the space to reflect, to accept ourselves as we are, and to find fulfillment not in the eyes of others, but in our own authenticity. The journey toward acceptance begins with letting go of the societal pressures that often dictate our sense of worth. From an early age, we are conditioned to believe that our value is tied to our achievements, appearances, or social standing. These external measures create a constant need for validation, leaving us in a perpetual state of striving. Solitude challenges this narrative by removing the influence of others. It allows us to sit with ourselves, free from judgment or comparison, and to see ourselves for who we truly are. In this space, we begin to recognize that our worth is not something to be earned, but something inherent within us. Acceptance also involves embracing the entirety of who we are, the strengths, the flaws, and everything in between. Solitude provides the time and space to explore these aspects of ourselves without fear or criticism. It encourages us to confront the parts of ourselves that we may have been avoiding, to shine a light on our vulnerabilities, and to see them not as weaknesses, but as integral parts of our humanity. This process of self-exploration is not always comfortable, but it is deeply healing. It allows us to move beyond self-judgment and into a place of self-compassion where we can accept ourselves fully and unconditionally. As we cultivate acceptance, we begin to experience a profound sense of fulfillment. This fulfillment is not based on external achievements or possessions, but on a deep alignment with our true selves. In solitude, we are free to explore what truly brings us joy and meaning, unburdened by the expectations of others. This exploration often leads to the discovery of passions, values, and desires that are uniquely our own. By living in accordance with these discoveries, we create a life that feels authentic and purposeful. Fulfillment becomes less about what we achieve and more about how we live. Solitude also teaches us that fulfillment is not a destination, but a state of being. It is found in the present moment, in the simple act of being fully ourselves. In a world that often equates fulfillment with success or productivity, this perspective is both radical and liberating. It reminds us that we do not need to wait for a specific outcome or milestone to feel complete. Fulfillment is available to us here and now, in the quiet moments of self-reflection, in the pursuit of our passions, and in the connections we make with ourselves and others. The acceptance and fulfillment that come from solitude also strengthen our resilience and independence. When we understand our worth and find fulfillment within ourselves, we become less reliant on external validation. This independence does not mean that we reject relationships or community. Rather, it allows us to engage with others from a place of strength and authenticity. We no longer seek approval or fear rejection, as our sense of self is not tied to how others perceive us. This shift creates healthier and more meaningful connections as we approach relationships as whole and fulfilled individuals. In solitude, we also learn to appreciate the beauty of imperfection. Acceptance is not about striving for an idealized version of ourselves, but about embracing the reality of who we are. It is about understanding that our flaws and mistakes are part of what makes us human. This perspective allows us to release the pressure to be perfect and to approach life with greater ease and grace. By accepting ourselves as we are, we create space for growth and transformation, knowing that we are worthy at every stage of our journey. Acceptance and fulfillment are not destinations to be reached, but ways of being that are cultivated through the ongoing practice of solitude and self-reflection. In this practice, we come home to ourselves, discovering that everything we need to feel whole and complete has been within us all along. Solitude is not a punishment, but a profound gift, a doorway to a richer and more meaningful connection with oneself. It is through the quiet and intentional moments of being alone that we embark on the lifelong journey of self-discovery and growth. Solitude invites us to pause, to step away from the distractions and demands of the external world, and to turn inward. In doing so, we find the clarity to see ourselves more honestly, the peace to embrace who we truly are, and the purpose to live authentically. This journey is not about reaching a final destination, but about deepening our understanding of ourselves with each moment of introspection. Solitude reveals that everything we seek, fulfillment, strength, and a sense of belonging, resides within us. It is a homecoming, a return to the essence of who we are, unclouded by the noise of the outside world. Through solitude, we uncover the truth that our worth is inherent and that we are enough just as we are. It reminds us that the answers we seek and the purpose we long for have always been within, waiting to be discovered in the quiet of our own company. Solitude is not only a practice, but a gift, guiding us toward a life of clarity, peace, and authenticity.